Okay. So this is Mahatma letter number 54 from the A.T. Barker series. And this letter was written by Mahatma K.H. to Senate in uh, in 1882, October 1882, and it was received by Senate at Shimla. So at that time, Mahatma K.H. he was at the fortress in the town of Fari. So there is this Fari Zong, which is a fortress in Tibet, and he was there, and from there he had sent this letter to Shimla. So in this long letter, there are so many points of focus which I have just mentioned at the beginning here. In this letter, Mahatma Ji explains about the collapse of the British branch and the resignation of Hume. He also mentioned what is wisdom, why did that branch collapse, how the people would behave. Then the letter covers the enemies which were there of HPB. It is mentioned as enemies because they poisoned the mind of these British members against the founders, and how Swami Dayanand Saraswati's role was there in that. Then important members like C.C. Massey and Stanton Moses, they turned against HPB. And what was the reality behind Swami Dayanand, why he turned hostile, and why the masters did not do anything to stop all this. So the later part of the letter, the middle part of the letter, it covers how HPB brought on all these circumstances on herself. What was her role in that? So there is a lot of clarification which Mahatma KH has given in this letter. Then there were some very sincere and worthy members in the British branch, like Massey and Hood and Stanton Moses. But the Mahatmas refused to consider them. So why did they not consider them for chelaship? What were the reasons? Those we will see. Also, we will go through what are the probation tests that the aspirant has to undergo. Then towards the end of the letter, it has been explained that certain organizational reforms were required, which Mahatma KH has proposed. So what were those? And at the very end of the letter, Mahatma KH has mentioned some hilarious incident about the goat eating the letter of Senate. And he also has given some clarifications on what is occultism, phenomena, chela, and planetary. So we will go through these points one at a time, and I hope to cover them about 4 points in a session, so we can cover it in 3 sessions. So today, let's first begin with the first point, the collapse of the British branch of the Theosophical Society and resignation of Hume. So here on the slide, what is written, it is from the letter. After reading this, then we will discuss it. So Mahatma KH begins with, my dear friend, the deposition and abdication of our great I Am is one of the most agreeable events of the season for your humble servant. Mea culpa, I exclaim. It was pleasant news for M and all of us to hear how unanimously and quietly you were elected president. And we all, masters and chelas, greet fraternally and warmly your accession to the office, an accomplished fact which reconciles us even with the sad and humiliating tidings that Mr. Hume expressed his utter indifference to the chelas and even to their masters, adding that he cared very little to meet either. Mahatma KH is referring to Hume in this letter as I am, the great I am, because we have seen in the previous letters, he was extremely self-centered. And everything for him was about I, me, and myself. In one letter, Mahatma Ji also mentions that he wants everyone to offer puja to him. So that great self-centeredness of his, that is why he calls him I am. Now, Hume eventually resigned from the post of president of the Simla Eclectic Branch. And Mahatma Kate finds this to be a good thing. He says, in fact, that he was responsible for it. That is, mea culpa, I was the culprit. Mahatma M and the Chelas, they are very glad that Senate has now unanimously been accepted as the president of the Shimla branch. And they send their warm greetings to him. He complains in a letter to Shishir Kumar Ghosh of AB Patrika that owing to Hume's insistent efforts, he had nearly converted Chesney to Theosophy when the great anti-Christian spirit of the Theosophist threw the colonel violently back. This is what we may call tampering with historical facts. So Hume actually complained to this person, Shishir Kumar Ghosh. Shishir Kumar Ghosh, he was a freedom fighter from Bengal, and he was a pioneering journalist who had founded the Amrit Bazar Patrika. So Hume wrote to him that, and Colonel Chesney, he was a British Army journal in the Bengal Engineers Group. So Hume says that owing to his insistent efforts, his continuous efforts, he had succeeded in convincing Colonel Chesney to convert to Theosophy. But the Theosophists, the founders, and all the members, they have this anti-Christian spirit. They are against Christianity. And due to that, the colonel, he went back. He did not convert to Theosophy. And Mahatmas consider this tampering with facts. Now, first and foremost, we must understand that Theosophy is not a creed or a religion, and it does not ask anybody to convert. There is no conversion. Theosophy only states the facts, the truths, which is the ancient wisdom. And these truths, they are the basis of all religion. It asks us, so instead of asking us to convert, Theosophy, it asks us to inquire into our belief, into our religion. And we must examine the teachings in light of these truths of the ancient wisdom. Theosophy asks us to strip our religion of their dogma and misconceptions and embrace their underlying basis, which is the ancient wisdom. So it will attack every dogma in every religion. It is not specifically anti-Christian. Hume was also under the influence of his new guru. So at this time, Hume came into contact with some Vedantic Swami from Almora, and he was under his influence. Now, actually, this Swami from Almora, he had written some articles on Advaitism. And T. Subbarao, when he read those articles, he was strongly against it. He disagreed with that philosophy totally. And we must remember that T. Subbarao was also the chela of the same master as HPB was. Both of them were chelas of Master M. So when he says that the Vedantic Swami, what he wrote, it was not right, so that must be so. Now, after all this while of communication with the Mahatmas, Hume writes to Mahatma KH that he does not really know who they are, what they might be. They might be tantrics, and he does not care about them anymore. So this was a change in the behavior of Hume when he came in contact with this new Swami. And he says that he might learn something from his new guru, but with the Mahatmas, he was not learning anything. So such was his attitude. Further, the letter says, one word of advice, an earnest warning from both of us. Trust not little Fern, be aware of him. Try to save him if possible, my dearest friend. Do your best to convert him to truth and unselfishness. It is real pity that such gifts should be drowned in a mire of vice, so strongly engrafted upon him by his early tutors. Both Mahatma M and Mahatma KH, they are advising Sinnett to be aware of Fern because he was not sincere and he was putting up pretense. So this person, Fern, he was Hume's private secretary. We know this. And he had joined the Theosophical Society. He had some psychic abilities, and there was a latent possibility that these abilities could be developed for the benefit of Theosophical Society. Mahatmas considered that he could become a center for their magnetism so that they could use him to transmit messages. And for this purpose, they had placed him on probation under the supervision of Master M. But he also received some strong vices. He had this vice of lying, of pretending, and his Jesuit nature. All this he received from his earlier tutors with whomever he was learning. And eventually he failed to pass this probationary test. So Firm had promised himself that the society, the Theosophical Society, will rise or fall depending on whether he succeeded in becoming a chela or not. So that was his ambition. So therefore, Mahatma KH is advising Synod that you be aware of Fern. Try to do your best to bring him on the path of truthfulness, because he is behaving in this manner, in pretense. Further, Mahatma KH mentioned in the letter that the British Theosophical Society had collapsed and virtually was no more. I certainly objected having my letters printed and circulated like those of Paul in the bazaar of Ephesus, for the benefit or perchance derision and criticism of isolated members who hardly believed in our existence. But I have no objection in case of an arrangement as proposed by CCM, that is Massey. I will never refuse my help and cooperation to a group of men sincere and ardent to learn. I dread the appearance in print of our philosophy as expounded by Mr. H. He makes of us agnostics. We do not believe in God because so far we have no proof, etc. This is preposterously ridiculous. If he publishes what I read, I will have HPB or Jwel Kool deny the whole thing, as I cannot permit our sacred philosophy to be so disfigured. So, see, in the beginning, the first point, the British Theosophical Society had collapsed. Important members from the Theosophical Society, they had resigned. And virtually no proceedings, learnings, teachings, nothing was happening. In fact, Mahatma KH, he forbade all arrangements to give teachings. But then later on, he agreed to teach through Synod only, if the branch was re-established with sincere members. So amongst the sincere members, we have seen earlier, he had mentioned Mrs. Kingsford and her associate Edward Maitland, all such people. If they joined that branch, then he agreed to give the teachings through Synod. And Mahatma KH, he commits his help and cooperation to sincere men who are keen to learn. This we must understand. We must have the sincerity and the keenness to learn. Then the help from the Mahatmas will be available to us. Only then they will teach us. Even so, he forbade that his letters should be printed and circulated, because he did not want his letters to fall into the hands of prejudiced and skeptic members, members who did not believe in the teachings or in the Mahatmas, and who would ridicule the teachings. So Ephesus is the bazaar of Ephesus. It refers to the grand bazaar of Byzantine Empire. This Byzantine Empire came into existence around 395 CE, when the Roman Empire split, and the eastern part of Roman Empire became the Byzantine Empire. So this bazaar of Ephesus, it was an important trade center in Istanbul, in Turkey, and everything and anything was available in that bazaar. So Mahatma Ji is likening that to availability of the letters of Saint Paul, as if the letters of Saint Paul are available in that market. So similarly, he didn't want his letters to be available. And under this new arrangement, he strictly forbade to allow Hume or Dr. George Wilde, the former president, to join. So they wanted to restart this British branch, but Mahatma KH told them strictly that they should not allow A.O. Hume or Dr. George Wilde to join again, because previously they had refused admission to some important members who could have been very beneficial for the society. So their working was not to the liking. So they were asked not to join. Now Hume was under the influence of his new Vedantic guru, from the Swami from Almora, and Hume had written 3 extremely ridiculous articles. His articles, they completely changed the meaning of the theosophic teachings. He called the Mahatmas agnostic. Agnostic means somebody who does not believe in God, because he says that nothing can be known about God or about the nature of existence. And so he doesn't believe in God. This is extreme misinterpretation of theosophy. Mahatma KH says that he cannot allow our sacred philosophy of this ancient wisdom to be misinterpreted and disfigured by Hume. So he will ask HPB or Dwelkuhl to deny whatever Hume is saying. So to this extent, Hume had become ridiculous. And further in continuation, Mahatma K.H. says, the less such idiots hear of our doctrines, the better for both. If they do not want the whole truth and nothing but the truth, they are welcome. But never will they find us, at any rate, compromising with and pandering to public prejudices. So as we saw, Hume was distorting the theosophic teachings. He was portraying the masters as agnostics. And in his article, he mentioned that because they don't believe in God because there is no proof of God's existence. But what does theosophy actually affirm? Theosophy clearly rejects the idea of an anthropomorphic God. There is no creator or a supreme being. Instead, theosophy affirms the universal divine principle, which is the root of all, from which all proceeds, and within which all shall be absorbed at the end of this great cycle of being. So this was the difference. And Hume said that people will not accept your theosophic teachings until you give them an assurance or you give them a hope that there may be a loving Father and creator of all in heaven. So this was the typical Christian dogma of a loving Father, creator of all in heaven. And for this, Mahatma K.H. he did not agree. He said that it is better that such idiots, they don't hear or learn about the theosophic doctrines. We cannot change theosophy to make them accept theosophy. What is the truth will remain the truth. So this brings us to the end of our first point, why the British branch was collapsing and Hume resigned. In the next section, there is a small slide which talks about wisdom. Let us see what Mahatma K.H. says about wisdom. The Western people have as yet scarcely learned to recognize that which we term wisdom in its loftiest sense. As yet, he only is esteemed truly wise in his world who can most cleverly conduct the business of life, so that it may yield the largest amount of material profit, honors, or money. The quality of wisdom ever was and will be yet for a long time, to the very close of the fifth race, denied to him who seeks the wealth of the mind for its own sake and for its own enjoyment, and result without the secondary purpose of turning it to account in the entertainment of material benefits. Now, at the time these letters were written, the Western world was a very materialistic society. Mahatma K.H. says they had not understood the real meaning of the term wisdom. Any clever person who could make huge amounts of money, who could make a lot of material profit and earn name and fame in the society, he was considered to be very wise. And isn't this true even today, largely? Many people regard this as success in life, and they say that such a wise person who has earned name, fame, and money. But till the time people want knowledge only for their own benefit, till they want to gain material benefits for themselves, their own enjoyment, without regard to the larger benefit of mankind, till that time, the people will not become wise in the true sense. And Mahatma K.H. is saying that this is likely to continue till the close of fifth root race. So this is, due to the cycles, the fifth root race. That is for general humanity as a whole. But those few people who can realize these truths, they can transform not only themselves, but also guide others, becoming truly wise. So we know that since 1875, some occult truths, some part of the ancient wisdom, it was being given out by both the masters through their letters and through HPB. And based on this knowledge, Hume and Sinnett, they wrote magnificent articles in the Theosophist, including there was a series of articles called Fragments of Occult Truth. And these articles gave deep insight into the higher truths of life. the people, they deemed this that yes, it is profound knowledge, but they thought that it didn't have any practical use in life. So this was the kind of society at that time. They said, they acknowledged that yes, it is profound knowledge, but it has no practical use in life. Now this is a huge fallacy, misconception. See, whatever we are studying in theosophy, it is not just for the sake of studying. It has practical daily life usage. Knowledge becomes wisdom only when it is applied to the daily life to transform it for progress. Otherwise, it is merely information. And when these letters were given out, then for the first time, the sevenfold constitution of man, it was publicly taught in the theosophical literature. This information, this one information, has profound implications. From this, it is deduced that real man is immortal, and every moment in daily life, with our every action, emotion, desire, and thought, we are weaving our destiny, we are weaving our future. And this is happening life after life. And if we transform our actions, thoughts, and desires, we can transform our destiny. So, what profound implications this theosophic knowledge has? But this the people did not understand at that time. They said, yes, knowledge is there, but it has no use for daily life. So we must understand that the knowledge given, it should be applied to our daily life. Then only it turns to wisdom. Okay, so Mahatma Ji knows that yes, in spite that this fifth root race, it will not reach that level of wisdom till the end, but there are few people who they can absorb this knowledge, apply it in daily life, and turn it to wisdom. So that was a short part of the letter which profoundly tells us what is wisdom. Then the letter focuses on who were HPB's enemies, including Dayanand Saraswati. What was the interaction with him of the Theosophical Society, and how they were responsible for turning Massey against the founders. So in this part of letter, Mahatma Ji says, I am not prepared just now to afford the British Theosophists the proof of our existence in flesh and bones, or that I am not altogether HPB's confederate. For all this is a question of time and courage. But even supposing it is very easy to disprove the former, it would be far less easy to disprove the latter. We were not Saint Germain and Cagliostro, both gentlemen of the highest education and achievements, and presumably Europeans, not niggers of my sort, regarded at that time and still so regarded by posterity as impostors, confederates, jugglers, and whatnot. So we see that suspicion, misconceptions, prejudices, all this led to the closure of British branch. Mahatma KH attributes this to karma, causes which have been set in motion, they were bearing fruit. And causes were set in motion by all, by one and all, by the founders, by the members, and by the people. So causes which were set in motion were bearing fruits, and only time could wear out the effects. Massey's mind was prejudiced against HPB and regarding the existence of the Mahatmas. And physical existence of Mahatmas, this is what Mahatma KH is saying, that their physical existence can be easily proved. But to prove that they are not HPB's confederates, confederates means an accomplice who is secretly plotting, plotting for some fraudulent activity. So a secret accomplice of HPB. So that is what Massey thought, that they are HPB's confederates. So that would not be easy to disprove. The important point here is that something which is objective, like physical existence of Mahatmas, that can be proven easily. But it is very difficult to remove doubt or suspicion of the mind. That is a major obstacle on the path of spiritual progress. It is one of the first fetters which the aspirant has to overcome. Right? Doubting mind. We should never let doubt enter our mind. Further, Mahatma KH is saying the Western society had regarded even Saint Germain and Cagliostro as impostors. And they were European men, and they were highly refined and educated men. And in contrast, Mahatmas are Asian. So nigger is a word which is very contemptuously used to address the dark-skinned people. So if those Western society people, they did not approve of Saint Germain or Cagliostro, how would they approve of the Mahatmas who are dark-skinned, who are Asians? And it would be even more difficult to remove suspicion about the Mahatmas from their mind. And we all know that Saint Germain, he was actually a great occultist and a brother of the White Lodge. And Cagliostro, he was the 18th century Italian occultist and magician. So any person who tries to reform or to bring about intellectual change in society, he is subject to so much of doubt and misconceptions from the society. Next, Mahatma KH is saying, yet I am morally bound to set his mind at rest through your kind agency with regard to HPP, deceiving and imposing upon him. He, meaning Massey, seems to think he has obtained proofs of it absolutely unimpeachable. I say he has not. Let CCM put all those facts together, fathom the mystery, and trace the connection between his informants and the two traducers of the two innocent women. Let him investigate thoroughly and patiently before he believes in certain reports, and even proofs brought forward, lest he overloads his karma with a heavier sin than any. This made secret enemy number 3. CCM's devotion was in their way. They went to work to break the object of devotion, HPB, by shaking his confidence in her. Now, actually, in this letter, Mahatma KH has written in detail. It was like a whole drama which was playing out. The things which were happening in the British branch, how members were behaving, each one had their own interest, how uh, how they were, their treachery or their wickedness, how they deceived, why they plotted. So all this is written here. I have not put all the points on the slide, but let me explain that whole thing. Otherwise, it will be difficult to understand the letter. So CC Massey, he was under the impression that HPB was deceiving him and she was imposing her ideas upon him. And he had obtained concrete proof of it. And Mahatma KH says that it is his moral duty to correct this misunderstanding because that was not the case. And he wanted Sinnett to convey the truth to Massey. Now, Massey's misunderstanding was due to the wickedness of some ex-theosophist and other men. So those were the 1, 2, 3 enemies. Okay. Now, who were these enemies? The first one was Harichand Chintamon. Harichand was Dayanand Saraswati's representative in Bombay. And Harichand had been expelled from the Theosophical Society after he was exposed for having robbed the founders and Swami Dayanand of rupees 4,000. Now, during that time, in the early 1880s, rupees 4,000 was a huge amount. So when he stole from them and he was caught and he was exposed, he ran away to England. And ever since, he was seeking revenge on these founders, especially HPP. So he was one person who had an intention for taking revenge. The second person who was responsible for poisoning Massey's mind, he was Dr. Billing. Now, Dr. Billing's wife, Mrs. Hollis Billing, she was a very good-natured, honest woman, and she was a very reliable and honest medium. But Dr. Billing had married his wife only for money. In fact, he cheated on her with another medium. So when HPB and Colonel Olcott, they disapproved of this and they confronted him, he became very bitter. And he turned against not only his wife, but also HPB. So he turned against both these women. Now, since then he was secretly poisoning the minds of the other British theosophists against HPB and his wife because he had been confronted by HPB. Mahatma KH wants Sinnett to convey these facts to Massey so that he can thoroughly examine his beliefs about HPB. They are based on what? By not doing so, Massey will be burdened with karma of great sin. See, this is a very important point. He will overload his karma with a heavier sin than any. What it means is that any belief, opinion, or judgment that one may form, it must be based on thorough investigation of facts. Because even if you are sinning unknowingly, you are generating karma for yourself. And that will be a great burden because then you are, in fact, accusing these innocent women. So that's why he is asking Sinnett to convey these facts to Massey so he can examine his beliefs. And the third person who was responsible for Massey's prejudice, who was termed enemy number 3, the third person was Carter C. Black. Now, Carter, he was a Jesuit. He was expelled from the Theosophical Society for slandering Swami Dayanand and Harichand in the Pall Mall Gazette. Pall Mall Gazette was an evening newspaper in London. And Swami Dayanand and Harichand, in the beginning, when the Theosophical Society and the Arya Samaj, they were to be merged. So at that time, HPB had introduced Swami Dayanand as a high chela, as a high initiate, and Harichand as his chela. But Carter C. Black, he had slandered Swami Dayanand and Harichand in this newspaper. So he was expelled from the Theosophical Society. And after that, Carter Black tried for 2 years to join the society back, but HPB would not allow it. So he was unhappy about it. Meanwhile, what happened? Harichand, he reached London after he was expelled for stealing. So he reached London, he met Carter, and now both of them joined hands. And both of them had the same mission, to revenge on the founders, especially HPB. So, but Massey, CC Massey, he was greatly devoted to HPB. He was a very great friend of Colonel Olcott and HPB. So they wanted to break his devotion. That is why they were poisoning his mind to take their revenge. So from this slide, what do we understand? First thing is that any of our belief should be based on thorough investigation of facts. Otherwise, we generate a burden of karma, like Massey. And secondly, we have to guard against these vices. We must refrain from the vices, like stealing, Harichand did it, cheating on one's spouse, Dr. Billing did it, and slandering, which Carter Black had done. So these vices, they will outright throw you off the spiritual path. So why are we studying all these things? Not because we want to find out the fault in the members of that British branch, but by looking at that, we can guard ourselves against these pitfalls. It is better to learn from others' experience rather than committing the same mistake and learning through our painful experience. So this was the situation at that time. And as these people, they succeeded in arousing suspicion in Massey's mind. So further what the letter says, thus the ground was well prepared for sowing in it any kind of weed. Then came like a thunderbolt Swami's unexpected attack upon the founders and proved the death blow to CCM's friendship. So we already saw how these ex-theosophists like Harichand, Carter Black, and Dr. Billing, they were seeking revenge on HPB. And they also succeeded in arousing the suspicion in the mind of Massey against her. So mind is like a fertile ground. And by putting all these thoughts, it is prepared, like how the soil is prepared for sowing seeds. So this way the mind is prepared with suspicion to grow any kind of weed. So his mind was the ground, Massey's mind, it was the ground well prepared for sowing the weeds. The doubting mind, this is what we have to guard against. The weeds can grow in the doubting mind. He doubted the founders. And the last straw came from Swami Dayanand. He turned against HPB and he attacked her. Now, what about Swami Dayanand? We know that Swami Dayanand, he lived from 1824 to 1883, and he founded the Arya Samaj in India. He founded it, and he was dedicated to the revival of the Vedic religion. He worked for social and religious reforms. And then in 1878, Colonel Olcott, he contacted Swami Dayanand, who was in Bombay at the time, and he proposed an amalgamation of the two societies. And this was agreed to. Then in August 1878, Olcott received the full rules of the Arya Samaj, and he realized that the aims of Arya Samaj, they were not compatible with those of the Theosophical Society. So eventually the association was terminated, and a serious rift was created between Dayanand and the Theosophical Society members. Swami Dayanand became very hostile towards the Theosophical Society and his founders. But previously, when there was a talk of merging the two societies, HPB had already told all the members that Swami Dayanand was a high chela, he was an initiate. But after the differences arose, Swami Dayanand turned against HPB, and he said that he had never been an initiate, and that HPB, in her misguided zeal to advance the cause of the Theosophical movement, had deceived them all. So you see, suspicion about HPB was being put into the minds of the members. All these developments, they were sufficient to turn Massey against HPB, who at one time was most devoted to her. So all these situations and circumstances had brought about the collapse of the British branch. So we have seen how HPB's three enemies and even Swami Dayanand, they were responsible for turning Massey against the founders and also poisoning the minds of other members. Further on, even Stanton Moses, who was a very prominent member of the British branch, he also turned against HPB. So I think we have time to cover this point today. We will finish it quickly. Stanton Moses turns against HPB. So Mahatma K.H. says that you forget his profound, sincere irritation with us and HPB. As a spiritualist, the chosen vessel of election of Imperator, CCM is ignorant of the laws and mysteries of mediumship, and he is his staunch friend. What I then said, I now repeat. There is an abyss between the highest and the lowest degree of planetaries. This, to your query, is plus a planetary spirit. And then my assertion that plus is a brother. But what is a brother in reality? Do you know? We have read about Stanton Moses and Massey in so many letters. We know that Stanton Moses, he was an English clergyman, and he was also a writer and editor, and he wrote under the pseudonym of M.A. Oxon. He had this remarkable psychic abilities, and he served as a medium. He was a spiritualist, and he was a very close friend of HPB and Colonel Olcott. And then he joined the Theosophical Society in the early days, 1876. But then in October 1876, Stanton Moses was put on probation. He was in touch with one of the masters of wisdom, and he was being helped in his training, but he was not aware of it. Since he was a medium, he used to converse with some spiritual entity. He called it his spiritual guide, the Imperator. And he never believed in the existence of masters. Colonel Olcott tried a lot to dissuade him of his opinions about the Imperator, but they were futile. Now we know that at different points in time, through the letters, we come to know that at different points in time, different entities, they communicated with Moses under the name of Imperator. Sometimes actually it was his own higher self, which he mistook as a spiritual guide Imperator. And at other times, the adepts communicated with him, because we know that he was under probation, under training. And on other occasions, there were some other entities, perhaps some elemental through some astral shell. So different entities contacted or communicated with Stanton Moses, but every time he thought it is his spiritual guide, the imperator. And C.C. Massey, he was also a staunch friend of Moses. He had no idea how mediumship worked. So he did not know any real facts. Now, what Mahatma KH said, in fact, Sinnett asked Mahatma KH that whether imperator is a planetary spirit. So who are planetaries? In fact, Mahatma KH has given a lot of detail in his letter about the planetary. So this is a little digression, but I think it is worth it to understand about planetary. Planetary spirit in theosophy, it refers to a hierarchy of celestial beings who are in charge of building either a cosmos or a solar system or a particular planet. So you see different levels from cosmos, solar system, a particular planet. And there is an abyss. Abyss means a bottomless gap between the lowest and highest planetary, meaning a planetary of a particular planet. What would be his evolution? There would be a huge gap between the planetary of a cosmos because his level of evolution would be much, much higher. So that is the meaning of abyss between the lowest and highest planetary. Now this difference in level, it is from the evolutionary point of view, evolution of the consciousness. In one of the letters, in fact, in the letter number 9, Mahatma KH has mentioned that he is not at a liberty to say whether imperator is a planetary. If the imperator himself is choosing to be silent on that subject, then Stanton Moses has no right to ask Mahatma KH through Sinnett. He is asking through Sinnett because he doesn't believe in the masters. Okay. So about the planetary, Mahatma KH has described in his letter that there can be no planetary spirit which was not once material or human. And on our earth, when Mahatma Buddha, when Gautam Buddha, Mahatma Buddha, he is the patron of all the adepts. And when he attained Nirvana, so he first became a planetary spirit. What it means is that his spirit could simultaneously move around the interstellar spaces in full consciousness and could continue at will on Earth in his individual body. So this is what is a planetary spirit. This is the highest form of adeptship that man can hope on our planet. But this is very rare, just like how becoming a Buddha is very rare. So Mahatma KH further mentioned that the last Khobilgan, it is the Mongolian term which is equivalent to a High Lama in Tibetan terms. So Khobilgan, that means a High Lama. So on this earth, on our earth, the last Khobilgan who attained the status of planetary is Tsongkhapa. I think in the Buddhist literature, many of us would have read about Tsongkhapa. He was a 14th century teacher of Tibetan Buddhism, and Mahatma KH called him the reformer of esoteric Lamaism and the commonly practiced Lamaism. So he was the last person on our earth who has reached that status of a planetary spirit. The first one being Gautam Buddha. So here Sinnett was asking Mahatma KH whether imperator is a planetary, and Mahatma KH says that he is not at liberty to say. But he says that imperator is a brother. What does brother really mean? We know that brother can be brother of light, which means master of wisdom. That means they are the Mahatmas or the adepts. And there are also brothers of shadow. Brothers of shadow is the term which is given to the Dugpas. Dugpas are the practitioners of black magic. They are the dark brothers or the dark adepts, sorcerers. So that imperator, he is a brother. Now, who was contacting Moses through the imperator? Sometimes it was the adepts. Sometimes it was Moses' own higher self. And sometimes it was some elementary or some shell. So by saying that the imperator is a brother. There is no clarity that whether it was a brother of light or whether it was a brother of shadow. Okay, so this is what Mahatma KH tells Sinnett about the imperator. And for what HPB has added out of the depths of her own consciousness, perhaps I do not hold myself responsible, for she knows nothing for a dead certainty about plus, and often dreaming dreams, she draws her own original conclusions therefrom. The result is that SM, that is Stanton Moses, he regards us as impostors and liars, unless we be but a fiction, in which case the compliment returns to HPB. Now, what are the facts and what the accusations against HPB? Many are the shadowy points against her in CCM's mind, and with every day, they become black and uglier. So HPB also, she did not know who was the imperator. Plus means the imperator. And she would draw her conclusions based on her own insights, or perhaps from her astral visions. But Mahatma KH had not given her any information about it. So Mahatma KH is saying that I am not responsible for what HPB is telling you about the imperator. But due to that, Stanton Moses felt that if the Mahatmas exist, then they are fraud, they are lying. And on the other hand, if they don't exist, then HPB is a liar. So either way, the compliment came back to HPB. Not only Stanton Moses, but even Massey harbored a lot of doubts about HPB and everything that she said. Mahatma KH, in fact, he said that there was never a woman who was subjected to so much slander and malign as HPB. So these were the circumstances which was turning the minds of even most worthy subjects like Moses and Massey against the Mahatmas and HPB. So I think with this we can stop here. We have covered 4 points and we will cover the remaining points in our next sessions on next Friday. So with this, I conclude today's session. Thank you. I will request Sister Meenakshi to convert this in Hindi, to give the translation.
नमस्ते, थैंक यू सिस्टर। आज हम महात्मा लेटर नंबर 54 ले रहे हैं, जो कि मास्टर के एच एपी सिनेट को लिखते हैं अक्टूबर 1882 में। इसमें कुछ पॉइंट्स हम आज ले रहे हैं कि पहला पॉइंट है कि थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के ब्रिटिश ब्रांच का भंग होना। मास्टर कहते हैं कि इक्लेक्टिक सोसाइटी जो कि शिमला में स्थापित हुई थी, इक्लेक्टिक सोसाइटी से अहम भाव भरे ह्यूम का पदत्याग यह हमारे लिए सुखद घटनाओं में से एक है, जिनकी दुखद और अपमानजनक बातें जो मास्टर्स और उनके शिष्यों के प्रति दुर्भावनापूर्ण थी, यह साबित करती है कि उन्हें किसी की परवाह नहीं। मास्टर एम और हम सभी के लिए यह एक सुखद समाचार था कि आप सर्वसम्मति और शांति से इक्लेक्टिक के प्रेसिडेंट के रूप में चुने गए। हमारे शिष्यों सहित हम मास्टर्स आपको बधाई देते हैं, ऐसा मास्टर सीनेट से कहते हैं। आगे वे कहते हैं कि ह्यूम अमृत बाजार पत्रिका के शिशिर कुमार घोष को लिखे पत्र में शिकायत करते हैं कि उनके प्रयासों के कारण ही कर्नल चेस्नी का थियोसॉफी में पदार्पण हुआ है, जो थियोसॉफिस्ट के क्रिश्चियन विरोधी भावना के कारण पहले उससे दूर रहे। मास्टर कहते हैं कि यह ऐसी बात हुई जैसे कि ऐतिहासिक तथ्यों से छेड़छाड़ करना। बाद में मास्टर कहते हैं कि ह्यूम पूरी तरह अपने नए गुरु के प्रभाव में है, जो कि एक वेदांतिक स्वामी है और जो अद्वैत तत्वज्ञान जिसमें ईश्वर को मानते हैं उसे बेहतर तरीके से सिखाने का प्रस्ताव रखते हैं। ह्यूम के तर्क से उस बूढ़े स्वामी से वह सब कुछ सीखेंगे, जबकि उन्हें हमारे साथ कुछ भी सीखना असंभव है, यह उनका मानना है। ह्यूम का मानना है। मास्टर सीनेट को सलाह देते हुए कहते हैं कि हम दोनों की ओर से, यानी मास्टर के एच और मास्टर एम की ओर से आपको गंभीर चेतावनी है कि फर्म पर भरोसा न करें, उससे सावधान रहे। हो सके तो उसे बचाने की पूरी कोशिश करें, उसे सच्चाई और निस्वार्थता में बदलने की पूरी कोशिश करें। यह बहुत अफसोस की बात है कि उसमें जो शक्तियां हैं वह बुराई की दलदल में खो जाए, जिसे उस पर उसके पूर्व शिक्षकों ने प्रत्यारोपित किया था। मास्टर कहते हैं कि ब्रिटिश थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी भंग हो गई और बंद हो गई। मेरे पत्रों को प्रिंट करके उसे प्रसारित करने पर मैंने आपत्ति दर्शाई, जिससे कि कुछ अलग थलग हुए सदस्यों को लाभ होता, उस पर टीका करने के लिए जो हमारे अस्तित्व पर विश्वास नहीं करते। हम ईमानदार और सीखने की लगन रखने वाले उत्साही लोगों को सहयोग करेंगे, करने से कभी इनकार नहीं करेंगे, ऐसा मास्टर कहते हैं। जिस तरह ह्यूम ने हमारे तत्वज्ञान को प्रतिपादित किया है, उसे मैं प्रकाशन करने में आशंकित हूँ। वह हमें नास्तिक बताता है। उसके अनुसार हम भगवान में विश्वास नहीं करते हैं क्योंकि हमारे पास कोई सबूत नहीं, इत्यादि। यह हास्यास्पद बात है। उसकी लिखित बातें यदि प्रकाशित होती है तो उसका एचपीबी या ज्वालकुल द्वारा खंडन करना होगा, क्योंकि हमारे पवित्र शास्त्रों की विकृति हम होने नहीं दे सकते। उस जैसे मूर्ख हमारे सिद्धांतों के बारे में जितना कम सुनेंगे, दोनों के लिए उतना ही बेहतर होगा। यदि वे संपूर्ण सत्य और सत्य के अलावा कुछ नहीं चाहते तो उनका स्वागत है, लेकिन वे हमें किसी भी तरह से आम लोगों के पूर्वग्रहों के साथ समझौता करने में या राजी होने में नहीं पाएंगे। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि ज्ञान के उच्चतम अर्थ को पाश्चात्य लोग शायद ही समझ पाए हैं। उनके लिए ज्ञानी होने का मतलब यह है कि जो अपने जीवन के उपक्रमों को बड़ी चतुराई से संचालित कर सकता है, ताकि वह अधिक मात्रा में भौतिक लाभ, सम्मान या धन प्राप्त कर सके। ज्ञान की प्रवीणता फिफ्थ रूट रेस के पास सदा ही थी और रहेगी, लेकिन जो भी इस ज्ञान की संपत्ति को खुद के खातिर ही अर्जित करना चाहता है, खुद की संतुष्टि के लिए और कोई दूसरा उद्देश्य न रखकर सिर्फ अपने भौतिक लाभों की प्राप्ति हेतु उपयोग में लाएगा, वह इस ज्ञान से वंचित होगा। एचपीबी के 3 शत्रु और स्वामी दयानंद का सीसी मेसी को संस्थापकों के विरुद्ध में लाने के लिए जिम्मेदार होना, यह आगे का पॉइंट है। सीसी मेसी, जो थियोसॉफी के स्थापन करने के समय सभासद थे और जो ब्रिटिश थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के प्रथम संस्थापक और प्रेसिडेंट थे, वे कुछ गलत धारणा के कारण एचपीबी और मास्टर्स के खिलाफ हो जाते हैं। मास्टर कहते हैं कि ब्रिटिश मेंबर्स को हमारे वास्तविकता के बारे में, कि हम हार्ड मास से बने हैं या मैं एचपीबी का सहयोगी नहीं हूँ, यह बातें साबित करने के लिए मैं अभी तैयार नहीं हूँ। यह सब समय ही बताएगा और उनके कर्म बताएंगे। आगे वे कहते हैं कि क्या सेंट जर्मैन और कैग्लियास्ट्रो, यह दोनों सत्पुरुष उच्च शिक्षा प्राप्त और प्रतिभाशाली नहीं थे? वे तो यूरोप के थे, मेरी तरह अश्वेत नहीं। फिर भी उन्हें उनके बाद की पीढ़ियों ने धोखेबाज, षड्यंत्री और जादूगर माना। मास्टर कहते हैं कि एचपीबी के संबंध में आपकी सहायता से सीसीएम की धोखे से प्रभाव डालने की धारणा को दूर करने में मैं नैतिक रूप से बाध्य हूँ। उसे लगता है कि उसे एचपीबी के विरुद्ध सबूत प्राप्त हुए हैं, लेकिन ऐसा कतई नहीं। बाद में मास्टर कहते हैं कि हरिचंद चिंतामणि और डॉक्टर बिलिंग यह टीएस और एचपीबी के विरोधक थे। हरिचंद ने संस्थापकों और स्वामी दयानंद के 4000 रुपए चुराए थे और जिसे थियोसॉफी से बाहर निकाला गया था, इसलिए वह बदला लेना चाहता था। डॉक्टर बिलिंग अपनी पत्नी, जो कि एक सच्ची मीडियम थी, उसे चंद रुपयों के लिए शादी करते हैं और 1 साल में ही दुर्व्यवहार करके छोड़ देते हैं। एचपीबी और कर्नल ऑलकॉट के उसके खिलाफ जोरदार खंडन करने के बाद वह सोसाइटी छोड़ देता है और ब्रिटिश मेंबर्स को एचपीबी के खिलाफ करता है। मास्टर कहते हैं कि सीसी मेसी को सभी तथ्यों को एक साथ रखकर इस रहस्य के तह तक जाने दे और उसे जानकारी देने वाले मुखबिरों को और 2 निर्दोष महिलाओं को बदनाम करने वाले 2 लोगों के बीच के संबंध का पता लगाने दे। उसके सामने लाए गए रिपोर्ट्स और सबूतों पर विश्वास करने से पहले उसे धैर्यपूर्वक जांच करने दे। ऐसा न हो कि वह अपने दुष्कर्मों से अपने ऊपर कर्मों का भारी पहाड़ लाद दे। सी कार्टर ब्लेक, जिसने पॉल मॉल गैजेट नामक वृत्तपत्र में निंदात्मक लेख लिखने पर सोसाइटी से बाहर किया गया था और उसकी बहुत कोशिश करने पर भी उसे वापस मेंबरशिप नहीं मिलती, इसलिए वह भी टीएस का शत्रु हो जाता है। सॉरी। सीसीएम की एचपीबी के प्रति भक्ति उनके रास्ते में बाधा डालती है। इस भक्ति को तोड़ने की वे पूरी कोशिश करते हैं, उसका एचपीबी के ऊपर का विश्वास मिटाकर। इस तरह सीसीएम के मन में, सीसी मेसी के मन में अविश्वास की जड़ बोने के लिए पृष्ठभूमि तैयार की जाती है। इसके बाद स्वामी दयानंद की तरफ से संस्थापकों पर अनपेक्षित रूप से हमला होता है, जो सीसी मेसी की मित्रता पर प्रहार होने में कामयाब होता है। आखिर में स्टैंटन मोजेस भी एचपीबी के खिलाफ हो जाते हैं। एचपीबी और सिद्ध संघ के प्रति उनका एचपीबी और सिद्ध संघ के प्रति तिरस्कार था, जो कि मास्टर कहते हैं कि स्टैंटन मोजेस, जो कि स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट थे और इम्पेरेटर के चुने हुए माध्यम थे, उनका एचपीबी और सिद्ध संघ के प्रति तिरस्कार था। सीसीएम मीडियमशिप यानी माध्यम संबंधी नियम और उसके रहस्यों से अनभिज्ञ है और वे स्टैंटन मोजेस के घनिष्ठ मित्र है, ऐसा मास्टर कहते हैं। सीनेट का मास्टर को प्रश्न था कि क्या इम्पेरेटर एक प्लैनेटरी स्पिरिट है। इस पर मास्टर कहते हैं कि उच्चतम और निम्नतम प्लैनेटरीज में एक गहरी खाई है, गहरा अंतर है, और मैं दावे के साथ कहता हूँ कि इम्पेरेटर एक बंधु है, लेकिन वह बंधु कौन है? क्या वे श्वेत संघ का है या डार्क ब्रदरहुड का है? स्टैंटन मोजेस की हायर सेल्फ यानी अंतरात्मा की आवाज सच्चाई बताती थी, लेकिन अनेक बार वह किसी अन्य साये के प्रभाव में होता था, जो उसे गलत जानकारी देते थे, जिन्हें वह इम्पेरेटर नाम देता है। एचपीबी इम्पेरेटर के बारे में निश्चित रूप से कुछ नहीं जानती है और अपनी कल्पना से उन्होंने जो निष्कर्ष निकाला उसके लिए मैं जिम्मेदार नहीं, ऐसा मास्टर कहते हैं। परिणाम स्वरूप स्टैंटन मोजेस हमें ढोंगी और झूठा मानते हैं। मास्टर कहते हैं कि एचपीबी के खिलाफ जो भी बातें सीसी मेसी के मन में थी, वह बातें दिन ब दिन और भी गहरी और द्वेषपूर्ण हो रही है। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Thank you, Meenakshi ji.
Vibhaji, there is a question for you.
Yes.
That is Sister Sheetal Gole. She asked, why Swami Dayanand was declared Chela through HPB. Was he not so?
Okay. See, about Swami Dayanand, we will study more in the letter. There is more information given in that. And Mahatma KH, he acknowledges that Swami Dayanand was actually a very high initiated yogi. So that was the truth. He was a high yogi. He had been initiated at Badrinath. And what he wanted to do, the social reforms, the religious reforms, so that was very much in line with what the Theosophical Society wanted to do, bring about this knowledge to the world. So that is why there was this talk about merging the two societies, the Theosophical Society and the Arya Samaj. And so HPB introduced Dayanand Saraswati to the members who were of the British branch, that Swami Dayanand is a high initiated yogi. He was introduced as such. But later he went against the founders. So this created a suspicion in the mind of the members that is HPB telling the truth? Was Dayanand actually an initiate or was he not? Are there any other questions? We would like to take them now.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yes, about this.
Yes,
Arisam-
Shikharji.
Yes.
Yes,
Good evening.
namaste.
Namaste,
Tell me.
Vivaji. Very nicely explained. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, I just heard from many of the people and also from collected writings of HPB
Yes.
that although both the reformers, I mean Theosophical Society and Swami Dayanand Saraswati's aim were seemingly same, but the only gradual, I mean, breakup started with the difference of bhi and he. Swami Dayanand Saraswati was saying Vedas are the only source of knowledge. That Ved keval hi gyan ke srot hai. And Theosophical Society or HPB was showing Vedas too are the source of knowledge.
Right.
Like it's not only the Vedas, other than Vedas also there are many books where we study Kiyute and Book of Golden Precepts, which are maybe even earlier than the Vedas. So, but he wanted only concentrated to reform Hinduism, while Theosophical Society was taking a much broader view for them. All of the, I mean, because superstitions are in every religion, so all of them have to be reformed. And then some misunderstandings happened later on, and then this distance grew too much. And after he gave the lecture denouncing the founders and even published it, then of course there was no way back. So just wanted to share this thing.
True. Very nice. Thank you for that more detailed information. That is true. Swami Dayanand, he considered what he's doing is patriotism, whereas actually it was just his ambition which finally led to his downfall. Thank you, Shikharji.
Thank you.
Namaste to everyone.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Yes, namaste.
Yes.
Namaste.
Brother from Pakistan. Now regularly he has been attending the program. Great, sir. Great. I welcome you.
Thank you.
Expecting you every time to attend our program.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now,
This
Vivaji,
is-
we will close. Kindly close the session with the closing prayer.
Okay, sure. So if there are no more questions, let us close this. Everybody, please join me for the closing prayer. Om Asito Ma Sadgamaya
Satgamaya.
Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya
Amritam gamaya.
Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu
Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu.
Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu
Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu.
सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु
सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु
सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु
सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु
लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु
लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः
सर्वे सन्तु निरामया
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्
मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्
ॐ शान्ति 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 ॐ Thank you all for attending. We will continue the next part of the letter next Friday.
Thank you to everyone, each one. I'm grateful to particularly Bibhaji for his nice presentation, for our nice presentation, and also the speech or the statement given by Brother Sikharji, and also all the members present here from Karachi, brother, and other members are
Meenakshi ji.
yes, Meenakshi ji presentation, sorry, Meenakshi ji presentation Hindi. Now for tomorrow we have a program at 7:30. Earlier it was 7. We'll start at 7:30 from the June. It will, and the speaker is brother Professor Raj Kishore Prasad, and he will speak Hindi, of course in English, the dimension of space based on book Science and Occultism. With this announcement, I am again thankful to everyone, and also I am going to close this session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pradeep ji. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
Thank you.